Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie, and I will be your guide for today. Today, I am going to talk about some pretty in-depth things. This is all to do with the universe, our Taurus energy, and messages that I was receiving about our reflection and the Taurus fields. And it was really interesting how they're bringing it through. So I'm going to talk about that and the data or the information that I got off this video. Now the scientists don't understand what's happening, but it totally makes sense when you entwine the information that I have from my channeled messages, and this is why I wanted to bring this up. So first of all, when I was sitting outside, and I'll see if my team comes through with any more information as well, we were talking, or they were talking to me about the Taurus field. The Taurus field is an energy that is constantly surrounding us at all times. It is literally how our body even works. So we eat food, goes down esophagus, and then it spits out the other end. And in the middle of all of that, you go on this, your body's like created around you. So we're absorbing and we are letting go. And then we're absorbing and we're letting go. And that is what the Taurus energy is all about. We have that donut-shaped energy. They were then showing me that there was one further out. And they were showing me this as the same as the Taurus field around you. But for the logical mind to be able to understand this, they were bringing it up as a secondary Taurus field. And that Taurus field was representing the universe, but not in the way that you think. Actually, they're saying it is in the way that you think, but not in the way that you think of as in a physical way. It is actually literally in the way that you think and accept of yourself. So what they were showing me was the Taurus energy that goes around a human body is exactly the same as and combined to the outside reality that you perceive. So if you have blockages within that first Taurus field, you have blockages with your digestion, you have blockages with your thoughts, which make certain body parts tense up, or and then there's blockages there, or you have blockages within carried DNA that's carried through from generation to generation that you just can't seem to get to the core of, and so you keep on repeating problems that your ancestors had. You could have blockages that are something to do with success and not being able to become the authentic, successful person that you should be becoming on this planet, and your soul's wanting that, it wants it clear, and yet you are not quite getting there. It's all procrastination when you nearly reach it, but you don't quite. It's all sorts of ways that blockages can manifest. Then they were showing me your reality outside of you as the universe. So we look up at the stars, but we're not all astronomers or anything. We don't, dissect the universe to that point. We see it as a mystery that's outside of us. It's there, and we've known that there is a shape to it. We've been taught that at schools, and that literally is the same sort of donut shape. And then they were showing me that really contained within that is already everything that you already have within yourself, in your Taurus field, is projected outwards into your outside world. So all the stories, everything that you encounter is something to do with your either cleared Taurus field or blocked Taurus field. And you tend to match people that have the same blockages. They could portray it out in a different way, but it's actually the same. They're showing me someone who's a victim will magnetize a narcissist. A narcissist will as an inner victim, the victim is an outer victim. It's really interesting. They're showing me the two reflections of, it doesn't matter what it is. You could pick anything. I'm just choosing narcissist and victim as an example here. But your story, your story that you have within you about who you are and all the blockages that you have are absolutely manifested outside of you in real time. And you will encounter these blockages and you'll go, see, that always happens to me. So why does that always happen to me and never to that person over there? That sort of thing. So they wanted to bring that to me because, and they showed it as these two Taurus fields because they were saying, you heal the one that's closer to you and you're already healing the rest of the world because you're at that central point that is the observer of the rest of the world. So the central point is you as the observer. When it shifts its perception of life or its self or yourself, and it comes from, oh, I feel relieved. Oh, I just feel love now. I'm just not afraid anymore. Or I just have all of a sudden that clarity is then magnetized back in from that bigger Taurus field, which is your life playing out, the people that you meet, the jobs that you take on, the universe as a whole, even, how much you do want to see outside of this planet and integrate with other beings and all sorts of things, which is a mystery of your limitations of your mind not being able to communicate properly through telepathy. It's only communicating through sound. Now, there was another message that came through with that and the sound vibration, and I might as well bring it up now. I wasn't expecting to, but it totally makes sense. The other message that they were giving me with the sound is that you have a unique voice or a unique sound, unique vibration that's coming from your body and who you are. And it can actually shift and change in many things outside of you because everything is just vibrating. And they were showing me that the voice box is, when it's aligned with the DNA awakening and the understanding that your reality your soul's reality has come from some other place, another life, another story, and it had, say, for instance, the ability, maybe in one of your past lives, you were, I don't know, an elemental, and you could tone a note and it would help flowers open or something like that. I'm just throwing a willy-nilly kind of thing in front of you just so that you can spark your imagination. Could be absolutely anything. Could be the harmony of your voice, literally calm down patients in the war or something like that. And what happens is when you get this clarity happening, you start to realize that it's you learning to find where the blockages are within your vortex that creates a bigger world, a bigger picture, a bigger reality outside of you. Then you are opening up to more vibrational meets. And then when your voice, if you remember what your voice was actually used for in past lives, or even before, they're showing me before the language was available. Language is an absolute limitation on what your voice can actually do. So way back when there was no language, when there was just telepathy was the language. It was communication, not only between humans, but between humans and animals, humans and plants, humans and stars, humans and other beings. everything was collectively in sync and understanding each other if you could match that vibration. And there was people, they never used their voices for blah blah, for this um just talking. Talking is surface, talking's nothing compared to this magnificence of our feelings combined with sound. So your voice can actually resonate with things like trees and plants and even other, anything, even other beings or anything. It's just there's this understanding. I'm trying to understand where they're coming from. Like, you clear your path, you understand more about yourself. Your voice isn't just your voice, as in the days of Babylon. They learned how to babble. They learned how to talk. The tower was representing their reach into telepathy was now falling. And so they had to learn from someone outside of them language. And it's very, very limiting. Language is very, very limiting because one person can say something and think something different. So there's no connection between the person that's speaking and the person that's thinking. There's a disharmony there. There's a disconnection there. And it's so important to understand that, because when we progress into these higher vibrations, all of a sudden our voice isn't necessarily going to be needed as in the way that you used it before. It can be that you hold a specific note, and it connects you to a crop circle and the information coming of it. You have this kind of, they're showing me things like, we do it naturally when we're really in pain. All of a sudden you make a noise and you're not afraid anymore because the pain is just so overwhelming that the voice has to come out and be spoken and resonate. And that's because you're trying to find within you peace as quickly as possible. And when you yell, you're like that, it's not only to try to get someone else's attention for help, but it's also to try to find some sort of cohesiveness within you through this pain. And that's why a lot of autistic children, when they will chant, and my daughter used to chant a lot when she moved objects from side to side. So this autism, so to speak, is also, that's them trying to center themselves, trying to find a peace within them in a world that they don't understand. And I think I get that point across to you. It's really important though, because we're going to learn to use our voice differently. Because when telepathy comes on board, when telepathy starts to awaken within us, we don't need to use our voice for language anymore. We don't need to have a voice interpreter or anything like that for all different languages and so forth, which separated the whole world, all of humanity, into these kind of contained places where it's just you speak French, you won't speak English, or that sort of thing. And so everybody ended up just being separated from each other, not understanding each other, but they weren't understanding themselves. It was bringing me back to that Taurus field that was blocked. So there's unblockages here that's going to happen within humanity's reality that we didn't even think was a blockage, but it was a blockage. Language is one of them. Language is actually a blockage to our authentic, telepathic, communicative feeling self. That's so interesting as I'm tapping into this. Now, the other thing that was brought up was the video. So the video was on 2024 physics and what they're up to or been up to. And they were talking about, I'm going to read a bit of this, the DESI data that found the galaxies were coming together. And I'll give you the link to the actual video so that you guys can look it up. But it was measuring dark matter, or measuring to try to understand what was happening with all the galaxies out there. Now, the Big Bang would go, a Big Bang, spark of light, and then everything just moves out, right? And so that means everything's just going to keep on moving out. And they actually found with this DESI data that it was the galaxies were actually coming in together, which didn't really make sense because if it's the Big Bang, just keep on going out. And they also found that it was accelerated. They thought that with this, there was observational evidence that the universe has accelerated and the scientists can't figure out why. Now, because it didn't make sense. If it was a Big Bang, the galaxies would go further apart from each other and it would slow down because it's just one powerful, right? And then slow down. This is where I'm going to hypothesize that the reason why they are getting stuck is because they're seeing everything as just one straight bang and then going out. And they're trying to measure things according to that. But that's not how it works. And I know this to be true because I had an incredible experience where I actually got to visit the Taurus energies of the universe, of everything, of everything. And it was just one huge donut shape. And right at 2020, the Earth was just entering this vortex that was sucking into the donut shape. And what I found was, if you match what they found, which is the acceleration of the universe, of the galaxies, of all of the galaxies, and also that everything was coming closer, is, to me, it was called, this is what I call the quickening, because as we go inwards, we've come to the point where we're needing to enter this vortex because we need to come back to source energy, just love, to be able to be refreshed, to be able to, for humanity's consciousness to kickstart a whole new evolution, to be able to create something completely new here on Earth with humanity's consciousness combined with Earth, and everything that we've learned on that journey of learning about our right hemisphere and our left hemisphere, logic, intuition, feminine, masculine, inner, outer, all of that sort of stuff. And we had this journey where it took us from Atlantis, Lemuria, learning all about the feminine side. And then that, all the witchcraft and all of that came in because it was that feminine side still holding on while logic was starting to play out its ruling factor. And so that the masculine side decided, it doesn't understand the intuition, never has. Like the logical side doesn't understand the intuition, but it needs to be able to trust. So there has to be this collaboration of faith and trust within our masculine feminine minds and our masculine feminine relationships as well. Everything has to come together. So what I saw was, I reckon that those galaxies are coming together closer because we were coming into what we call the quickening, going towards source energy, love itself in essence. And the only way to pass through that is to shed everything to do with that was blocking you before. So for you to come back into the source energy and meet God at itself, within yourself, within you. The core essence of who you are, but so too is Earth and all the galaxies. We're all getting pulled in. And it is from the observational point, just from your reference point of your consciousness, looking at everything and trying to understand it. But the more that you start to see it as that Taurus energy field, if the scientists took that into account, that this is what we are, this is what the universe is, the acceleration and the coming together of the galaxies totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So, yeah, I really feel that we have all these different layers of Taurus fields and, showing the Fibonacci sequence, how it goes in, within, and then within you have universes within you. You have cells in that are playing out and doing their thing, but are they actually playing the role that they need to play, or are they tense and just staying in a protective mode? Is you could say a cell could be a human, and a human could be a planet, and a planet could be a galaxy, and a galaxy could be everything. So it's like it's really interesting the way that they're showing me. But there is only one point of view, and that is yours. That's the only thing that truly exists, is your perception of reality. So are you going to stay stuck in it and just go, I'm just going to stay in this limited concept of myself? Or are you going to free yourself and become clear enough to be able to expand yourself into unlimited possibilities and see if you can shed as much of the program that's keeping you held hostage? You know, we've got so much more that we can do with these bodies. One of the analogies that they brought up too, and I'm going to bring this up, I was going to bring all these up, but this is really fun. I got this information while I was driving, and then I came back home and wrote it out. Humanity has gone through a massive, massive, massive journey, and we are coming to the end. It's final. It's the end of something, and a whole new game is going to be played out here. But this is how they put it. Imagine being a plane that could fly everywhere, and then another person come along and told you you can't be a plane anymore. No, you have to be a car. Only cars exist in this world. And they convinced you. And they convinced you that you were only a car. So they started to weigh you down with things that you had to carry, which kept you grounded and powerless. So they started to put things on you. Carry this over there. Carry this over there. It's too heavy a weight to fly now. So you have to stay as a car. So you're just doing what this other person's told you to do, and you're staying on the ground, and you're starting to load up all these things. Then some of the things would stay on, you know, stay with you, and you just start to forget that they aren't actually part of you. They're actually something that you could have shed off, but you just keep on plugging along and they're telling you, you got to keep on doing this. You keep being that workhorse until they put so much stuff on you that your engine starts to stall, because eventually the body won't be able to handle all that crap that it's carrying for them and their purpose. It just won't be able to handle it. So humans are like this car that's just been carrying way too much. And then they said, so if your engine starts to stall, what happens is it gives you a time to look at yourself and realize that you're carrying way too much. So this is literally what's happened in 2020, right? When all that happened, everything just kind of come to a peak, and we all got sent home, and we all had to stall and just stay there. And we all went, hang on a sec. We didn't actually like the life we were living anyway. What changes can we actually make to shift ourselves? So then they said, it's like all of a sudden when you start looking at yourself or start feeling into how you feel, you start to see that you are carrying way too much burden, way too much a story of somebody else's story. And so you start to offload a couple of those stories. I don't want to do friggin' 50, 60, 70 hours of work anymore. I don't want to, race around and take everyone everywhere and not have any time for myself. I don't want to have this boring life, 9 to 5, and just wake up and go to work and come home and be exhausted and go to sleep. I don't want to do this anymore. What can I do that's different? And so you start to lighten up your load. You start to take off those bits that you have been carrying. And then as you're taking them off, you start to realize, oh my God, I'm feeling a lot lighter now, a lot faster, until the point where you take off enough, where you start to go, hang on a sec, what the heck is that? That's a wing. There's something here within me that's a wing, that's something that can fly, that's something that's different. There's something within me that's different, that's unique, that's special. And so you start to look at this thing intricately, and you start to feel into it. What does this actually mean, that I have this ability? Maybe you start to actually see things. You have dreams that take you to premonitions, or you start to know what other people are going to say before they say it, or you see ghosts or something that just catches your eye, and you start to see the mysteries around yourself, because you've taken off a bit more load. And when you take off the load, you're now not focused just in on that one way of living that was really constant. And it's starting to free you up to see that you have a connection with the forest, free you up to see that you have more. But they said, So to make yourself feel better, you start to offload some of what you had been carrying all this time. The lighter you got, the faster you could go, until eventually you noticed you had wings and you wanted to know more about yourself. Eventually, you offloaded all that was put on you and pulled you down, that you got so much speed that you started to fly above everyone else. Now you're learning how to operate yourself as a plane instead of a car. So all of a sudden you start to take flight of, oh my God, I'm going to create my own business and it's going to be conducive to the world. It's going to help a lot of people. I'm going to bypass through the rules and the laws and all of that that's kept us contained. We're going to find freedom within ourselves. We're going to allow ourselves to retire earlier. We're going to find ways of helping ourselves become more abundant because we're matching the frequency of abundance. We're going to start to see things beyond. And then all of a sudden the plane can take off, right? And you're the observer of everyone else that's still stuck with those heavy loads and all of that sort of stuff. But also, you're new to this game. You haven't flown your plane for many, many, many lives. So now you have to learn how to fly the plane again. You were really good at it at one stage, but now you have to learn how to do it again. You become free and sovereign, and to be able to experience this world living moment to moment. You're really in the moment with this. You're no longer the working horse for other people anymore. So I love that analogy that they gave to me while I was driving in the car looking for a swimming hole. And then I did find my swimming hole in the end, and I swear I was on heaven on earth. It was absolutely beautiful place that I found. And I went for a really long swim and I absolutely love it. And I'm going to go back. So I'm really happy with that as well. Yeah, so we have these way more capability than what we have been taught, especially through the schooling system, which is only fixated on teaching the logical mind. It has never really taught the intuitive, imaginative mind how to work. This is the whole reason why I've started the school AMAKEL, so that we can practice and learn from all these different really awesome lessons of thinking outside the box, getting our imagination sparked up again, connecting to our souls, past lives, and signs and synchronicities and why they're happening, and all communication with animals, all sorts of things that I want to bring up there for the lessons. And the telepathic games really take you on a journey, as well as having a game that involves telepathy. It's just a lot of fun. The ignition actually ignites our DNA, ignites everything. So our DNA starts to wake up. More light goes within our DNA. It sparks. The more light that goes within our cells, souls and cell, the more light that goes within our cells in our body, the more information and wisdom can be felt into and reawoken from things from long time ago that humanity hasn't used for a long time, including the pineal gland and its ability to be able to produce DMT, which takes you to the cave, the inner cave of sanctity, they're saying. And in the inner cave of sanctity resides stillness. And when you can reach that inner cave through stillness, you can then move from there into many, many more dimensions. And you are not stuck just truly in this body. Your dreaming becomes the dreaming while you're awake as well. You become more entwined with your dream world. The awakening world and the dream world becomes entwined. You don't need to sleep as much either. You don't get so tired anymore. You live longer. There's so much more possibilities and potential for humanity as we're moving forward. And this is all moving us into this new earth. So I'm really excited to bring in more and more information that they give me, so I can give to you to help you go into this new earth and understanding a lot more about who you are and your potential. Yeah, so I think I'll leave it there. Thank you. Okay, bye.